Alright, let's talk about some famous explorers of California. For the most part, there were really only two motivations for exploring the New World. First, the search for gold, and second, the spreading of
Jesus!
In the case of California, however, there was one incredibly specific thing the explorers were after: a water route across North America to allow trade through to the other side. The Spanish called it the Strait of Anian, and the English called it the Northwest Passage. The naval powers of Spain and England both wanted to secure their claims to this lucrative discovery, because it would make for shorter trade routes to places like China, Japan, and actual India. Sorry, Columbus. From the period of about 1521 to 1600, Spanish explorers began landing in California in search of this mysterious water route across North America. Although they never found the passage, a few key explorers did make some significant discoveries about California in general.
Hola, my name is Francisco de Ayala. I am a Spanish explorer of California who served under Hernando Cortés. I sailed from Acapulco in the year 1539 to explore the area of Baja California. At the time, España believed Baja California to be an island, so you could imagine my surprise when, after sailing up 700 miles through the Sea of Cortés, I found my way blocked by a beach. After making this discovery, my ships then sailed back along the opposite shore and emerged around the end of Baja to journey up the coast of California.
Just a few years after Francisco sailed up the coast, another Spanish explorer named Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo sailed into Alto California and discovered the Bay of San Diego, the Catalina Islands, and was the first to formally name the land he found California. Cabrillo was reportedly very fair in his treatment of the native people, which was pretty different than the usual European strategy of show up and, kill everybody. But unfortunately, Cabrillo broke his arm on one of his inland expeditions and later died from an infection. The Spanish definitely had an early claim to fame in California, but a famous English explorer made significant discoveries here as well.
Hello and greetings, fellow explorers of California. My name is Sir Francis Drake, and other than being a renowned sailor, privateer, admiral, and male model, I'm also a dedicated explorer. Today I'm going to share with you a condensed history of my adventures in the area of Nova Albion, near what you might call San Francisco. But that is a wretched Spanish name, and it shall not be uttered henceforth. In the year of our Lord, 1577, I received a secretive charter from Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth I to bully the Spanish colonies on the far coast of California in an area they called Alto California. I was sent with 5 ships, but only my vessel, the Golden Hind, survived the trip to California, all the while raiding Spanish ships and relieving them of their golden treasure. When I landed in California to repair my vessel, I did not find any Spanish settlements to plunder, but instead found friendly and helpful natives and a beautiful harbor where we remained for 5 weeks. After leaving California, I navigated the grand expanse of the Pacific Ocean, through the trade routes of China and the East Indies, down and around the tip of Africa, and returned to England in 1580 as the first Englishman to circumnavigate the globe. Well done indeed.
After researching all the different explorers and marveling at all they had accomplished, I decided it was time for me to fulfill my childhood dream and become an explorer and go in search of undiscovered lands. So I gathered my crew, hopped in a time machine, and set off for the great unknown. Here's what happened next. Armed with a desire to explore, my crew of well-seasoned sailors, consisting of my cousin, my dad, and myself, set to work trying to decide where in the world we wanted to explore. After scouring many old maps from the kitchen and deciding we didn't want to spend a whole lot on travel expenses, we decided Northern California was the best place to enact our plan. That plan, of course, was modified several times while this movie was being filmed, but we eventually decided to hide gold all around Northern California to attract more European explorers to the region. We just so happened to have an entire chest of gold lying around the living room, so that meant we didn't have to go get a special charter from a queen or something like that. How did we find the gold, you ask? Well, Dad just so happened to find a whole pile of it while he was out walking around. We guessed it must have fallen out of a Spanish treasure ship a long time ago. So that saved us from having to rob a bank. Just like the early explorers in the 1500s, we were completely unfamiliar with the area we would be venturing into, and had no guarantee of our return. The mood was somber. But, after a few final details and an argument over where we would stop for lunch, we set out to put all the gold back in California. That's right. All the gold in California. Being an explorer was pretty fun. I couldn't figure out what the historical guys were complaining about with all their diseases and cramped spaces. We got to see some pretty cool stuff. After making a historic landing that would have even rivaled Columbus, we realized we had forgotten to bring a flag from our own country to place into the ground. But no matter. We were ready to set foot on this new land and carry out our mission of exploration. Naturally, encounters with the fearsome savage natives were inevitable, but they turned out to be docile and believed us to be two-legged gods of some kind that towered above them. We sailed all over Northern California, placing our golden explorer bait all over the Golden State. We encountered little resistance to our efforts, and our plan was executed perfectly. Great care was taken, especially on my part, to hide the pieces carefully and at great distances apart to make it easier for the explorers to find were they ever to come across the area. When we finally concluded our historic efforts, we were tired from our day of exploring and wanted to get back and take showers and watch TV. But we made sure to leave every piece of gold back in 1500 to avoid creating a rift in the temporal fabric of the universe, you understand. When we returned again to our time-traveling canoe, we were uncertain how the other explorers would respond to finding the nuggets we left for them around Northern California. But I suppose the conclusion to that story is left for another presentation.